Let's focus on Bitcoin. In this increasingly negative yielding world, we have some charts, over 15 trillion at the moment. The story of investors having to choose which assets are safe and not is one where we see high-risk assets becoming more and more popular. This week, there's one that took many by surprise, the cryptocurrency Bitcoin, almost on a tear. Well, this is what we're looking at overall. Look, in the past 6 months, the cryptocurrency and sovereign debt in Turkey, where the 10-year yields are nearly 10 times that in the U.S., have moved increasingly in lockstep. Well, joining us now to discuss Bitcoin is Lionel Laurent. He's our Bloomberg Opinion columnist who joins us from Paris. And Lionel, you just came out with a beautiful piece today saying Bitcoin and gold are basically monuments to irrationality. Discuss.
Well, I'm basically just very skeptical of the idea that Bitcoin, which is often called digital gold by its fans, just skeptical of the idea that this is some kind of safe haven. Yes, it's not a financial asset. Yes, it's not really correlated to financial markets, but just zoom out the price chart a couple of years and you'll see this thing trades on human nature, on fear and greed. And it's not linked to the economy in any way, but it doesn't mean it's going to be worth more tomorrow than it is today. So I'm just quite cautious.
Yeah, and I guess the jury's still out on whether Bitcoin can really stand on its own merit for more traditional investors. I mean, when do we, who has been buying Bitcoin? Is there any way of figuring it out?
Well, I think that the problem is really that on the Bitcoin side, supply, even if it's fixed, can vary a lot depending on whether the big whales, the big investors, are sitting on big piles of it. The other safe haven favorite is gold. If you look over the past decade, despite QE, despite low rates, the gold has fallen from its record by about 20%. I'm not saying I know where the safe havens are, but I'm just very skeptical as to the traditional safe havens people talk about.
Yeah, and if you look at the mad gyrations that we saw in Bitcoin, it's difficult, as you rightly point out in the article, that actually, that it lays claim to any stability. Are we expecting more volatility when it comes to Bitcoin?
There is very little I really expect out of Bitcoin that isn't volatility, if only because we don't really know what the price should be. There's no intrinsic or inherent value that I can see, and there's still a huge influence from these whale investors. It's a big question mark for me.